Shalum. Shalom and welcome. Welcome to Endtime Reflections. My name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I am compelled to present before a set-apart, awakening nation. This is the 36th installment of Endtime Reflections. My brothers and sisters, I will present a case why it is important to understand that the set-apart body of Abba Yahuah's house should be recognized from top to bottom. So this one is entitled Top to Bottom. Before I get into it, I want to say this. The views expressed in these podcasts do not necessarily reflect the views of the owners, managers, and or shareholders of this media platform. With that said, end times are here. It requires us to be mindful of what's expected, individually and collectively as a set-apart body. Unity will come for Yashar'al in ways that we probably could have never imagined. It will not come at the blink of an eye. It will require discipline, obedience, structure, chosen leadership, led by the Spirit of the Almighty Father. It will require living guidance as the Spirit of Yahusha works in us, through us, one towards another, and through his chosen ones. It is written that Yahuwah sent his set-apart spirit in Yahusha's name. I mention that often. It would be wise to discern and understand that each child of Abba Yahuah possesses his spirit. Consider these words, O Yashar'al. For many struggle and are quick to say there's no way Yahuwah's spirit can be in that person. Look at what he or she is doing. But have you ever questioned, have you ever drilled down, have you ever vetted and examined that what a person is going through may very well be the Spirit of Yahuwah inside, joined with that person's spirit, cleaning them up, disciplining them? Have you ever considered that they may be miserable, facing pain, grieving the Spirit, and what you're witnessing is a battle within and without? This is one of the reasons why we are instructed to be careful, be mindful when it comes to judging someone. Righteous judgment as led by the Spirit of Yahuwah, as revealed by the Spirit of Yahuwah, versus just judging one's outward appearance. Many find it hard to identify that the Spirit of Yahuwah in some cases is working in us, through us, and cleaning us up. His discipline as we are refined, as we find ourselves repenting and yielding to reproof from time to time. This is a result of the Most High cleaning his house, us, O set-apart family. Let me read Romans 8, 9, and 10. But you are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if indeed the Spirit of the Almighty One dwells in you. And if anyone does not have the Spirit of Messiah, this one is not his. You see, so many don't understand what the baptism or the immersions of the Spirit of Yahuwah is. There is the immersion when you first come in contact and recognize the Spirit of Yahuwah is with you. Through Yahusha Mashiach, that you are made one by the sacrifice and resurrection, by the plan of the Almighty Father. And being filled is when you step out of obedience and you step back into obedience and you walk in total obedience. See, we can walk in total obedience for a moment, for a season, but we'll stumble and we'll fall. The scriptures tell us that the flesh war against the spirit. But that's not the main subject of this segment, so let me continue. I want to mention again, I mentioned once before, and I will do it probably over and over again. Let us be mindful of Romans 12, 1 through 5. It says, I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of the Almighty One, to present your bodies a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to the Almighty One, your reasonable worship. And do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of the Almighty One. For I say, through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. For as we have many members in one body, all members do not have the same function. So we, the many, are one body in Messiah, and members each one of another. Since judgment begins at the house of Yahuah first, and we are that house, individually and collectively, do we believe that we should at the very least be familiar with our house from top to bottom? If at the very least be able to discern through set-apart vetting and examinations what belongs in our house, what is part of our house, whether members are part of this set-apart body or another. If we are all a part of the same set-apart family of Yahusha, we should be familiar with it from top to bottom. Do you believe a piece of a physical lamp is part of our physical body? No. Do you believe an ant is part of an elephant? No. Just as I have asked these rhetorical questions, we should be able to determine those whom we are in fellowship, whether or not they are actually part of our set-apart house, meaning, are they indeed a child of Yahuah or not? We should be able to discern. We should be able to vet and examine. We should be able to know what's in our house from top to bottom. Let us continue by asking ourselves, how do we know that about our house? How do we know and understand individually and collectively what should be a part of that house? And I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, is through study, prayer, set apart teachings, wise counsel. Have we witnessed our leaders speak on knowing the house of Yahuah? Have your moray, pastor, teacher, talked about the house of Yahuah? Do they speak about knowing it from top to bottom, from those that stand out the most to those who stand out the least? You see, my brothers and sisters, there are many leaders who are undiscerning and unlearned when it comes to the full structure of the house of Yahuah, whether individually or collectively. Remember, there are wolves in sheep clothing. There are also leaders who are unlearned, undiscerning. And there are, of course, those among us who will stumble and fall. But I say to you, O Yashar'al, if leaders aren't at the very least equipping us with how to identify the house of Yahuah individually and collectively from top to bottom, something is wrong. Are they neglecting the least among the fellowship? Do our leaders, do they know their flock? Do they know the names of each one? Do their deacons or those within the ranks, do someone among the leadership know you? Do they know your name, your family? Do they have ways of reaching you? Or are they so busy entertaining and fascinated by the numbers of followers? Are they so busy tooting their own horns? Are they so busy lifting themselves up? Are they so busy talking about things that should not be in the house of Yahuah? I invite you to ask them, who do they believe is least among the assembly? Listen to their response. Discover how serious they take knowing the house of Yahuah from top to bottom. Do they know you? Do they really know you? Have they taken time to speak to you? Or do they use the excuse, I have so many followers, I don't have time to reach them all? Is someone among the leadership? Is this what you want? Is this what you want to continue to be in? With leadership that don't recognize you or the least among you? That do not know the fellowship from top to bottom? That do not know how to equip you with the vetting tools? The tools for examining whether something is and should be in the house? Just think about it. How could you participate in guarding an assembly, a community, a camp, a fellowship, if you don't know how to vet and examine, if you don't know how to know what should be in the house from top to bottom? Wouldn't that be a weak spot in the community, camp, or fellowship, where the enemy can seep in and wreak havoc? Are our leaders equipping every individual, including the least of us, to know the house from top to bottom, to look in the mirror and be able to examine the one in the mirror as well as those among us? Do they speak of how iron sharpening iron should go across the spectrum to each and every one of us, one towards another, Iron sharpening iron, meaning of like mind. That like mind should be to worship and obey the Almighty Father. Do you believe there will be order and discipline working towards unity during these final days? Do you believe there will be martyrs for Yahusha's name? Do you know what tasks that you are being prepared to execute in or have been prepared to accomplish? Did your leaders speak on any of these questions that I just presented? Have they spoken about knowing the house from top to bottom? Have they equipped you with such skills as the Spirit of Yahusha is leading them? Could it possibly be that your leader is unskilled, unlearned, undiscerning, thereby only giving you shallow answers to your questions, only entertaining you, only reading scriptures to you over and over? Have you ever experienced instructions that equip you on what to do in the event of their demise, their death, or as a result of becoming separated, where you can't get to them or reach them? My point, my brothers and sisters, is it is time for us to recognize how precious every moment is, how important every part of the body is, what's critical from top to bottom regarding the house of the Almighty Yahuah, you, me, us. It would be wise not to take anyone for granted that is part of the body of Yahuah. It is wise to have methods for identifying and embracing all parts and members of the house of this set-apart awakening nation. Let me again present Romans 12:3. I say, through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should, but to think soberly, as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. My brothers and sisters, we will see, as end times get more intense, the need to know how to identify and or embrace more tightly the house of the Most High Yahuah in Yahusha's name. You, me, us, we will see the need to recognize from top to bottom why being able to vet and discover who is our brother, who is our sister, who is our family, why that's important. It would be wise to recognize there are expectations when it comes to the 144,000 in great multitude. While most would probably prefer to ignore discussing the details and avoid talking about martyrs for Yahusha's name and people that will be falling away or led astray, we must pray for one another, my brothers and sisters. We must begin to recognize that the body of Yashar'al will face many different challenges ahead. Time will prove that work is required, my brothers and sisters, in order to bring about a collective and unified, set-apart nation. I realize that my words might seem repetitive, as though I'm just saying the same thing over and over. Make no mistake, I speak what I'm compelled to speak, and they will perform. The words I speak will perform. If they are indeed from the Almighty Father, which I am compelled to believe, they will perform and reach the ears of those who are in need of such. End times I hear, my brothers and sisters, things will never return the way they were. It would be wise to identify those who value their entire set-apart family from top to bottom, at the very least know how to vet and examine whether one or another is part of the same set-apart house. If any individual or leader dismissed the need to know or identify the house of Yahuah, it would be wise to ask them, why do they have that position? What do they have to say about the matter? It would be wise to challenge them to explain themselves. The days of fellowshipping and going in circles in the scriptures, just reading them over and over, or just tooting the horn, or just looking back on what the assembly, the community has done yesterday, will come to an end, my brothers and sisters. End times will bring an intensity that will force people to look forward and say, what am I supposed to do? What is my next step? Which direction should I take? Where should I go? Remember these words, O Yashar'al. Colossians 4:5 states, walk in wisdom towards those are outside, redeeming the time. Time is precious, my brothers and sisters. Also be mindful of Matthew 24:22. It reads, and if those days were not shortened, no flesh will be saved. But for the sake of the chosen one, those days shall be shortened. My brothers and sisters, end times speak of widespread destruction, massive deaths. Do you not think that if you're having destruction and death, that means move out of the way. Move out of the way of what's causing the death and destruction. And in movement, my brothers and sisters, do you not know if you are on the outermost border of the Western Hemisphere and moving eastward, you lose time. Your days are shortened. A good example would be going from California to Virginia. You would lose 3 hours. Going from Virginia to the Promised Land, you'll lose approximately 7 hours. Movement will come. So the days being shortened is movement from one time zone to the next. You will see that's what it means by the days being shortened. Moving us out of the way of destruction and death that is to come. Those that are called and chosen to fulfill what must come to be regarding the final exodus and more. As I stated before, forced movement will cause our days to be shortened. The scriptures speak of a final exodus, and this indeed requires movement. This requires movement at appointed times, lest we get caught in congestion or in widespread destruction, as I mentioned. Know who to get with and or move away from. Knowing this is important, my brothers and sisters. Let us get to know one another while we can. Let us build and forge relationships while we can. Let us examine one another as the Spirit of Yahuah directs and guides our footsteps while we can. The need to adjust and adapt is very important, my brothers and sisters. Remember, the 144,000 in great multitude will be representative of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. Now, the 144,000 are all Hebrews, 12,000 Hebrews or Abraham from each of the 12 tribes, as mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter. The great multitude, as mentioned in Revelation 7:9, is of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. So we will come together with different tongues, and we will learn how to discern the function of what we're saying to one another. We will move towards understanding. We will adjust, and we will adapt, my brothers and sisters. Be encouraged. Be encouraged, though the words of this message from top to bottom might appear to be unnecessary or a struggle for some, it will be a resource for others. Behold, the hand of Abba Yahuah rises, and we will witness becoming familiar with one another as we find ourselves being drawn together by the Spirit of the Almighty Father sent in Yahusha's name. Make no mistake, my brother, we will learn how to recognize the house, the body, the set-apart nation of Yahuah, from top to bottom, made possible by Yahusha, our Mashiach, the living word of Yahuah manifests before us, the name of his set-apart spirit working in us. My brothers and sisters, top to bottom, with all its different members and components, we will learn that as being guided by the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name, we will become familiar with the house of Yahuah, the one in the mirror, the ones we are connected to, that we are one with in the body of Mashiach. I will pause here, O Yashar'al. I ask again, do your leader know you? Does someone know you? Do they know your name? Do they know how to reach you? Do they love you? How can they attend to you as a shepherd should with the responsibilities given them if they don't know you or someone in the leadership can recognize you? What if you were to stumble and fall and pass to the wayside? Will they just form an opinion? Or will they be as a shepherd and go after the lost sheep? Begin dialogue. Begin asking your leader, what if I disappeared? What would you do to find me? Or at the very least, would you ask among leadership, what happened to me? What happened to my family? Or would you just assume that we were disobedient and left you, not realizing that maybe an emergency may have come up, maybe sickness may have come? We must understand that the house of Yahuah from top to bottom requires much, if at the very least intercessory prayer, praying for the one or the ones that have fallen, stumbled, or been injured, praying for deliverance. You see, discernment is a powerful thing. It is when the Spirit of Yahusha reveals. I will stop here, my brothers and sisters, for now and say to you, there is so much more to come. Ask questions. Begin discussions. Do you know me from top to bottom? And if you stumble on things that are new that you didn't know about me, do they connect to the house of Yahuah, or is it something where I've stumbled or fell or have fallen? Come, O Yashar'al, let us prepare to be fitly joined together by the hand of the Almighty Father. On that note, I say to you, much Shalum.